I drive a tow truck during the night shift, and then last week, a call came in that made me genuinely afraid of the woods. I've been with Carter's Towing for 8 years now. I started out on day shifts, but the nights pay better, and there's far less traffic. You get used to the strange hours, the drunk drivers who wrap their cars around telephone poles, and the breakdowns on lonely stretches of highway, where your phone signal just disappears. It's honest work, and I know my way around it. Most of the calls are predictable: dead batteries, flat tires, minor fender benders, where everyone walks away unharmed. But every so often, something happens that stays with you. Like the night I had to pull a sedan out of Harrison Creek, with the driver still inside, or the guy who swore his car had been moved while he grabbed coffee at a truck stop. You quickly learn that stress and fear make people see things that aren't really there, so you take their stories with a grain of salt. But last Tuesday, everything felt different. I'm still trying to wrap my head around what went down on Pinewood Highway. The call came in just after 2:30 a.m. Vehicle off the road, mile 18, possibly occupied. Megan's voice buzzed through the radio. Caller says the driver might still be inside, but she couldn't get close enough to check. Mile 18 snakes through some of the densest forest in the county. It's a narrow, twisting two-lane that links the valley towns to the interstate, a favorite shortcut for truckers dodging the way stations. By daylight, it's picturesque. At night, it's 20 miles of pitch-dark trees, no lights, and zero cell signal. I grabbed my coffee and pulled out, Megan's coordinates in hand. Off the road could mean anything, from a car teetering on the shoulder to a vehicle wrapped around a tree 50 yards into the woods. I kept my speed steady, eyes scanning for any sign of movement, reflectors, broken glass, anything out of place. I spotted the car about a quarter-mile past the marker. At first, it seemed like the driver had just pulled off to take a call or catch a few hours of sleep. It was a blue Toyota Camry, probably 5 years old, sitting about 30 feet into the trees, on a small patch of relatively flat ground. The engine was off, but the headlights stayed on, weakly cutting through the thick fog that had rolled in while I was driving. I eased my tow truck parallel to the road and switched on the flashers. Standard procedure is to size up the scene before touching anything, so I grabbed my flashlight and made my way toward the car to see what I was dealing with. That's when I noticed the first thing that didn't sit right. Every door was locked, the windows rolled up tight, and there was someone behind the wheel, a young woman, probably in her mid-20s, gripping the steering wheel like it was her lifeline. When my flashlight hit her face, she looked up at me with wide, terrified eyes, and streaks of smudged makeup ran down her cheeks. I rapped gently on the driver's side window. "Ma'am, I'm with Carter's Towing. Are you okay? Hurt anywhere?" She shook her head, but didn't lower the window. Instead, she gestured toward the dense woods behind her car, mouthing words I couldn't catch. "Ma'am, I need you to open the window so we can talk," I called out, trying to keep my voice calm but firm. This time, she cracked the window open just a little. You need to get this car out of here," she whispered, barely audible. "Right now. Don't unhook anything. Don't step out again. Just pull it back to the road." "Wait, what's going on? Are you hurt? Do you need medical help?" I asked, leaning in slightly, trying to read her fear. "I'm not hurt," she said, glancing nervously toward the trees. "But there's something out there. Something big. It's been watching me for the past 2 hours. I'll admit, my first thought was maybe drugs or alcohol. People get spooked by shadows all the time when they're not clear-headed. But she didn't smell of booze, and her words came out steady, clear, coherent. "What kind of something?" I asked, trying to keep my tone neutral but curious. "I don't know exactly," she whispered. "I never got a good look, but it's huge, bigger than a person. And it's been circling the car, staying back in the trees where I can't see it properly. I swung my flashlight into the woods behind the car. The fog hung thick, limiting visibility to maybe 20 feet. All I saw were the usual pine trees and underbrush, the same as the rest of the forest along Pinewood Highway. "Ma'am, I don't see anything back there. Let's get your car back on the road, and I'll follow you to the nearest gas station. You can call someone from there." "No," she said firmly, her voice tense. "Don't go back there. Just hook up the car and pull it out. Please." Something in her voice made me freeze for a moment. Over the years, I've seen my share of terrified drivers, and you learn to tell the difference between kinds of fear. Drunk fear is sloppy, scattered. Fear from a crash is sharp, but it fades once the danger passes. This was different. A quiet, steady kind of terror. The kind that comes from facing something real, something that could kill you. I decided to go along with her. "All right, ma'am. I'll hook up the car from here and pull you back to the road. Keep your doors locked and stay inside." As I walked back to my truck, I tuned in to the sounds around me. The forest was unnervingly quiet. No owl calls, no rustle of small animals in the underbrush, just the low hum of my truck and the distant rumble of a semi miles away on the interstate. When I backed my truck into position, a smell hit me, strong, musky, like a wet dog that had rolled in something dead. I've smelled plenty of roadkill in my years, but this was different, more intense, and somehow fresher. Stepping out to attach the chains, I swept my flashlight across the Toyota Camry, and that's when it clicked why she was terrified. On the roof were two massive handprints, pressed deep into the metal, not dents from branches or debris, real impressions, as if something had gripped the car hard enough to bend it. Each hand, easily twice the size of mine, the fingers ending in deep, jagged scratches, like claws. I muttered, sweeping my flashlight around the car. More damage came into view. Scratches along the passenger side, like something had been testing the windows, and deep gouges in the paint where claws had raked across the metal. "Now you see why I wouldn't get out," the woman called from inside, her voice muffled through the glass. I was crouched down, inspecting the marks, when the first branch snapped. Not some tiny twig under a squirrel's weight, but a thick branch, the kind that takes real force to break. The sound came from deep in the trees, maybe 40 yards away. I straightened up and swung my flashlight toward it, but the beam barely penetrated the fog, vanishing after 20 feet. Then another branch broke. Crack. Closer this time, maybe 30 yards out. Then another. Crack. From a different direction. "Sir?" The woman's voice tightened with fear. "It's doing that thing again." "What thing?" I asked, my pulse quickening. "The knocking," she whispered. "It's been doing it all night. Breaking branches, hitting trees, God, like it's trying to scare me." Her words seemed to trigger it. A loud thump rang out, something heavy slamming against a tree trunk, then another, and another, from different spots around us, the impacts moving in a slow, deliberate circle, surrounding us in the foggy darkness. I moved quickly, attaching the chains as efficiently and quietly as I could. Every movement made me hyper-aware of being watched. You know that feeling when someone is staring at you across a room? This was like that, but amplified. Like something with intense focus was tracking every motion I made, growing restless and agitated by our presence. As I finished tightening the last chain, my flashlight suddenly flickered and died. I shook it, hit it against my palm. Nothing. The batteries had been fresh at the start of my shift, but now it was completely dead. I had a backup in the truck, but that meant stepping 20 feet into total darkness. Then the branch knocking stopped. The forest went unnervingly quiet. "Sir? What happened to your light?" Battery died. I'll grab another from the truck. Don't leave the car, please. Her fear was tangible, standing there in the oppressive silence, surrounded by the lingering stench of something wet and animal-like. I realized I didn't want to leave her either. I'll be right back. Just getting another flashlight. I made my way to the truck as calmly as I could, though every instinct screamed at me to run. The fog seemed thicker now, and the Camry's headlights barely cut through it, creating small, shallow circles of light that made the surrounding darkness feel even deeper. I grabbed my backup flashlight from the cab and was turning to head back when a sound stopped me cold. It started as a low, rumbling vibration I could feel in my chest before I even heard it. Then it escalated into something between a roar and a howl, a deep, guttural, almost unnatural sound, like nothing I'd ever heard from any animal. The noise lasted maybe 5 seconds, bouncing between the trees, and seeming to come from everywhere at once. When it finally faded, the silence that followed was heavier, almost suffocating. Then the creature stepped right into the Camry's headlights. "Sir?" The woman's voice was urgent now. "We need to go. Right now." I didn't argue. I slid into my truck, put it in gear, and started pulling the Camry back toward the road. The chains were tight, the car moving smoothly behind me, when something enormous crashed through the underbrush directly ahead. It came into the full glare of my headlights, and for one heart-stopping moment, I saw it clearly. The creature was massive, at least 9 feet tall, maybe more. Thick, shaggy dark hair covered its body, swallowing the light rather than reflecting it. Its shoulders were impossibly broad, arms so long they nearly brushed its knees. The hands ended in thick clawed fingers, more like talons than anything human. But the worst part was its face. It looked almost human, yet nothing about it should have existed in either man or beast. Its eyes were deep-set, sharp and intelligent, catching my headlights with an eerie yellow-green glow. When it parted its lips, the teeth inside were built for tearing, jagged and sharp. It lingered in the middle of the road for maybe 3 seconds, studying us with a terrifying awareness. Then, deliberately, it started moving toward my truck. "Go!" the woman screamed from the back seat. "Go! Go! Go!" I stomped on the gas, hoping the noise might scare it off. But the creature didn't even flinch. Instead, it surged forward, faster than any being that size should have been able to move. My truck jolted ahead, the Camry's weight dragging behind us. But it wasn't fast enough. The creature reached the driver's side door just as we began moving. Through the window, I found myself staring up into its face, less than 3 feet away, and every instinct in my body screamed that we were in real danger. It slammed one enormous hand against my door, and I heard the metal groan under the pressure. The handprint it left behind covered the entire window, fingers easily twice the length of a human's, tipped with thick, black claws. For a tense moment, we were locked in a surreal stare-down. My knuckles were white from gripping the steering wheel, while it studied me with eyes that seemed far too aware, far too intelligent. I could hear its breathing, slow, deliberate, fogging the glass between us. Then something in its expression shifted, and it stepped back. I didn't wait to see what it would do next. I slammed the accelerator, dragging the Camry behind me as fast as the tow chains would allow. In the side mirror, I watched it shrink, but it didn't vanish into the trees. It just stood there, in the middle of the road, watching us disappear into the darkness. We didn't stop until we reached the gas station. Maple Grove Gas, 8 miles down Pinewood Highway. My hands were trembling so badly, I could barely get the truck into park. Behind me, I could hear the woman crying. Not loud sobs, but the quiet, shaking kind of crying that comes from surviving something that shouldn't have been survivable. When I finally stepped out to unhook her car, I saw what the creature had left behind. A massive handprint was pressed deep into the metal of my truck door, not just on the surface, but dented inward, like the steel had been soft clay. Each finger had left a clear impression, claw marks cutting through the paint down to bare metal. The woman stood beside me, staring at the mark with wide, fearful eyes. "Those weren't there before," she whispered. "No," I said, my voice low. "They weren't." We lingered there under the harsh fluorescent lights of the gas station, both of us staring at the undeniable proof. Something impossibly strong had touched our vehicles, had been close enough to kill us if it had wanted to. "What do you think it wanted?" she asked, her voice trembling. I kept thinking about those eyes, sharp, intelligent, studying us like we were some puzzle it couldn't solve. Finally, I said, "I don't think it wanted to hurt us. I think it was curious." She nodded slowly, her voice quiet, like it was trying to figure out what we were. I called in sick for the rest of my shift and drove straight home. Spent the next hour in my kitchen, coffee in hand, trying to make sense of what had just happened. The rational side of my brain kept coming up with explanations. Someone in a sophisticated costume, maybe a circus animal that had gotten loose. But the handprints on my truck door told a completely different story. No human, no matter how large, could have bent steel like that, and no known creature could have moved the way that thing had. I still work the night shift, still take calls along Pinewood Highway when they come in, but now I carry extra flashlights, and I never go out alone where the trees are thick and the fog rolls in heavy. I had the handprints filled and repainted, but sometimes late at night, driving those same dark stretches of highway, I trace the spot with my fingers and remember, because whatever it is out there in those woods, it's still out there. And now I know it's watching, learning, curious about us. And maybe that's the scariest part of all. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more chilling tales.